One Mediator Media. Today, we got Biden, we got COVID, we got so many things to talk about. Let's just hit it. Let's just mediate.
Individual mandate is gone. That was the worst
You
part.
repealed, but you haven't.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
We will always protect people with pre-existing
If you're
conditions.
successful
And
in
here's the
court
thing.
in November.
I'm speaking.
They'll go. They're going to be
Okay,
very
but so
happy.
far they have not said they.
Yeah, I'm about to.
Against office buildings.
But are you?
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
People have a house to put
Any
them on.
foreign bank, any foreign
Not that I
entity?
know.
I'm speaking.
You saw what they did with the
But to
religious
be
group.
clear, there is no law or rule.
If you don't mind letting me finish, we can then have a conversation, okay?
Even you, Savannah, will be very impressed.
So what was that? What did we just see? We have Guthrie, and she essentially just attacked the president over and over again. I don't like. Here's my issue. I don't like it when I see things where there's inconsistency. So when Kamala was interrupted, right, by Pence, she was interrupted, and that's fine. You can call it an interruption. I didn't think he was being rude. Trump can be rude. Between Trump and Biden, you can totally make that argument. Pence, I thought, was being very polite. That being said, some people complained about it. Some people didn't. Some people didn't like it. Some people said that Kamala was rude by doing what she was doing. I thought it was kind of rude, to be honest. I mean, she was speaking. I felt like back when in the day when I was spoken to as a little child, you know, pretty much when the teacher would talk to me and say, or somebody would say, you know, son, I'm speaking, son. That means shut your mouth, right? So that's my issue. I didn't feel that was happening here. I thought actually I was surprised, to be honest. I was surprised that Trump did not fire, because that's Trump. You know, we heard him, what he said about Rosie O'Donnell back in the day. We've heard him talk about so many different people. I thought he was kind of, he restrained himself. I was surprised. I was very surprised. Anyway, that's my only comment. I just did not like that. I didn't like, I don't like the double standard. That's the issue. If you're going to complain about something, just do it across the board. Just do it. Just don't pick and choose. Just do it. Let's go.
Listen to President Trump say this, seemingly about NBC's Savannah Guthrie, following the town hall she hosted with him last night.
I had a lot of fun last night with that. That was a nice evening. It's a nice, pleasurable evening. I have somebody going totally crazy last night. But I told you that. She told me.
Well, she was not going totally crazy. She was doing her job as a journalist. And because the president doesn't like that, he is hurling sexist insults. Listen to him tonight, attacking Guthrie at his rally in Georgia.
And in Savannah, it was like her face, the anger, the craziness. The craziness last night. And I said goodbye. I said, great job, Savannah. You did wonderfully. Good job.
He is who he is.
Okay, Don Lemon. Oh, Don. Again, for Trump, I thought he held it in pretty well. I thought he did pretty good. He's done much worse. I thought he was rather polite, considering I didn't think he was treated very well that time. And he says that a lot. And sometimes I think, like, seriously, Trump, come on. But in this case, it was kind of absurd. And you guys saw the clip, so I don't know what to say about that. Don, just seriously, you know, journalist doing her job. Why don't all you guys do your job? Seriously, I'm biased. Don't go in one direction or the other. You know, I mean, sometimes perhaps I can seem a little biased here, just because I don't like being lied to. That's the issue. I really don't like that. That drives me crazy. Hypocrisy drives me crazy. When people are doing one thing and saying another, that drives me crazy. And in this case, it really looks and feels like hypocrisy many times, and that there's a double standard. That's the thing that I don't like, and it's so frequent. Just seriously, guys, just stop. And CNN, why even go there? I'm just saying, seriously, if there's a biased news network out of all the ones out there, which they're mostly all owned by the same people anyway, which another story we'll cover for a different time, how the left, back when I considered myself part of it somewhat, always been kind of a independent, not quite progressive, but more of an independent, kind of a little further left before. I've definitely moved far more of moderate right at this point, definitely more and more right, the more the left drives me insane. And in this situation, that's the issue. These corporate media thugs, I mean, that's what they call them now. They're so one-sided, and it's the bias is so evident. It's just sad, and they're aware of it, but they don't care. But anyway, Let's move on. So ABC News put out this article. Not just a Trump touted cure, monoclonal antibodies may be bridge to coronavirus vaccine. Okay, so the thing here is that there are these antibodies, medicines, says medicines like the one that earned President Donald Trump's praise after treatment earlier this month. And so apparently there's a treatment, and this treatment, there's like some proteins involved in it, these antibodies that they get. And so it says antibodies are our natural response to an infection, and they can be harvested from the blood recovered patients. And so this isn't quite like plasma. That's what they're reporting. The plasma technology that they had developed, or uh, medical treatment that they had been speaking about. This is a little different than that. And so it's really interesting, though. Again, they've had this, according to this, from what I read earlier, um, this has been kind of known for over 100 years. And they've known about this treatment. It started, at least, and it was definitely fully understood and implemented by the 1970s. We've known this. Why are we not receiving this? It's still experimental. When you have a pandemic, I think the pandemic calls for experimental treatments. Now, would I be the first in line? Probably not. But if I was dying, probably. Why not? Right? I mean, if they can help you in that situation, if it looks like you're going to die anyway, why not get the help? I would say go for it at that point. At this point, I mean, people are talking about 200,000. I think it's 215 or so now that we're at, that are, passing away. Why not? Why not help the situation? And there's that Regeneron that Trump kept on talking about. So anyway, something to keep an eye on out there. There's a little something here I wanted to share as well, what spike proteins are. And this is what it's talking about. It's referring to spike proteins. It says SARS-CoV-2 is the virus behind the worldwide outbreak of COVID-19 disease. One of the key biological characteristics of SARS-CoV-2, as well as other viruses, is the presence of spike proteins that allow these viruses to penetrate host cells. And so this ultimately keeps them from doing that. So they're using this treatment for Ebola. They're using this treatment for many things. And we have a pandemic. Again, Ebola is one thing, which, yes, it's a disease that moves very quickly. This disease does not move as quickly, but it seems to spread much further. And so why are we not looking more closely into this, knowing that these things exist, knowing that this was potentially coming? When they're saying Barack Obama talked about it, they're saying Bill Gates talked about it. All these people were saying in the near future this is going to happen. People will say, well, Trump removed that part of his administration, that cabinet, he removed that, and he removed funding from there. Argue what you want. I mean, if we've known this for over 100 years, how to attack infection in such a manner, and we've kind of almost, you can say, somewhat perfected it by the 1970s, there's more to this. And the fact that this is partially what was given to Trump, from what I can tell, and he recovered very quickly, again, along with steroids and many other treatments. Why are we not using this? Something to ask our fellow leaders. Let's move on. Another quick story here. So according to Newsweek, millennials control just 4.2% of U.S. wealth, 4 times poorer than baby boomers were at age 34. Now, baby boomers, a good portion of them were not millionaires, right? They just worked hard, from what I can tell. And so first question that pops in my mind is, many people always say the millennials don't have work ethic. They don't have this. They don't have that. I personally, in my own life, people that I know, that's kind of what I see. Unfortunately, not everybody, of course. There's some millennials who work very hard, but by and far, I think that seems to be the case. That being said, that's the question that I asked. Okay, so is there a difference between the work ethic between baby boomers and the millennials? And so what I did is I jumped over to Psychology Today. This is from 2016. And so here it talks about a few different articles, not articles, a few different surveys and different things that they've gotten. And so depending on the survey that you look at, you get different results. So you have 17 magazine, which I really don't give credit to, but it says finding that 80% of college and high school students take at least a part-time job during high school or during the school year, a higher rate than ever before, according to 17 magazine. And it says, actually, large nationally representative surveys find the opposite. Okay, so one survey says this, many others say the opposite. It says fewer high school and college students work during the school year compared to previous generation. That's something to note, especially because we're talking about that. And many people come on board and right away start saying, you see, it's unfair. There's more millionaires, and there's more money out there, more billionaires, more everything. And there is, I'm not saying that there's not some unbalance as far as, or imbalance as far as, millionaires, billionaires, and the working class. There is. There always has been. You look at any country for the most part, and that's the case. I mean, we're pretty much working to keep things going, and some people get really rich. But to be honest, some people start off not really rich and they end up really rich. Some people are on YouTube and they make millions. I'm not for taking from somebody to give to somebody else or to have myself. I prefer to work for my stuff myself, to be honest, even if I don't have much. And that being said, it says, it was called Monitoring for the Future Project. Well, here's another survey that surveyed 500,000 high school seniors since 1976. Because that's the question. Are we following people long enough to be able to make such a statement? Okay, well, here's one that did. And so the questions that were asked were, who doesn't want to work hard? Okay, people that don't want to work hard. And so boomers, 26% of them didn't want to. Gen X, 30% of them. Millennials, 38. Almost 40% didn't want to work hard. That's a big difference. Okay, you're talking about a huge difference here. 22% difference between the boomers versus millennials. Willing to work overtime. Now, apparently they're willing to work overtime, which is interesting. But again, in comparison, you have boomers who are willing to work overtime 59% of the time, Gen X 56% of the time, and millennials 47% of the time. If they had enough money, would not work. Pretty comparable, 22, 26, and 29. Again, each of these was higher when you look at, or lower, depending on what you're looking at, with the millennials. That's an issue. And I would say when you consider, okay, why do they have less? I think that's a factor. And I've seen some of that. And again, it's not across the board, which is why it's not 100%. I'm really big on the idea of one really should earn what they get. And do we all have the same opportunity? No, absolutely not. I was born speaking Spanish. I was born pretty much with one book that I can remember in my household. Whereas I've spoken with other people, and they've had libraries in their homes, And so I learned to read on my own Spanish at an early age with that one book. And then after that, of course, I continued to study on my own and also going to school. And so, again, not everybody starts with the same opportunity, right? Same with going to college and stuff. It's not everybody has the same opportunity. But that being said, this author of this said, this is entitlement. So it's not surprising that the word on everyone's lips in discussing this problem, the word being lazy. And so she finished saying, for years, lazy was consistently among the students' top 5 responses for bad things. For years, I tell the students, there's no evidence of that. Then I came across this data. As much as I'd like to, I don't say that anymore. Numbers speak, and they speak loudly. And when you look at the current situation, especially with the Bernie Sanders crew and guys that people that know me that you did or do support that philosophy, you know well that I don't. I don't believe in the idea of taking from somebody to give to somebody else, regardless of what you have. I think if you work hard, you really, and again, and I'm going against critical race theory here, which some people don't like as well. But I am a firm believer that if you work hard, you're going to get something. You're not going to be rich. I'm sorry. You're just not. I know I'm not going to be rich. Would it be great? I really don't care, to be honest. I'd probably find a good use for it. Start some charity or do something with it. I don't care much for enriching myself and to the point of stupidity. What is the point to that? We're going to die. Why not help somebody out? That's my goal. So anybody who wants to make me rich, that's what I'd like to do with it. So there you go. Anyway, moving on. So since we're on the topic of the current generation and what's going on with them. So Newsweek came out with a report saying Democratic Senator Feinstein faces calls to retire after praising Amy Coney Barrett's confirmation hearings. Cancel culture. It's wonderful. And that's what we're dealing with here. It says Feinstein has faced heavy criticism, with some calling for her to retire in recent days. President of abortion rights group NARAL, Pro-Choice America, she said tens of millions of Americans have already voted, and majorities have said unequivocally that they want to choose the next president who should fill the seat. Okay, again, I understand that. I get it. You want your voice to count more than it does now. That's great. But there's something called laws. It's a constitution. And the Constitution lays out a plan for if and when a person goes on and dies, passes away, when the president is in office, whatever it may be. At the time, could have been a Republican, Democrat, whatever, Whig, when they wrote this. The point is, whoever was in the seat at the time had the opportunity to nominate somebody. And that's where we are. Once that nomination happened, the Senate at the time, if it was the same party, great. But in the past, it has happened, not frequently, but it has happened, or you can say an opposing party still accepted that nomination. Now, that doesn't really happen, especially in our polarized society that we live in right now, which is sad and ridiculous. But that is a possibility, and that would be the idea here is that people are not okay with that. They want their voice heard and they want to vote, so on and so forth. Essentially, if it doesn't fit me, you need to change the law. Interesting place that we're at right now. And it finished off a little later saying Feinstein enraged many when she praised the hearings and spoke glowingly of Senator Lindsey Graham on Thursday. I guess she gave him a hug and people threw a fit because something about masks and so on and so forth. But ultimately, it's really because she gave somebody a hug who's of the opposing party, who pretty much was in favor of this person getting nominated. Oh, people. Sometimes I think if the current generation was around, and maybe it was, maybe this generation showed up in the time of the wild, wild west, and they were the ones shooting people in the streets because they didn't like something. I think that's what would happen if which is such a blessing, I suppose, that they're against guns, right? So they're pro gun laws, and they want to confiscate our guns, right? Probably not anymore because people are going nutty. But that being said, I'm glad they're against guns because I think they shoot anybody who came across them who they disagreed with. Anyway, my 2 cents. Let's move on. Okay, so here we are. Fox News social media backlash resurrected over Biden's transition team's ties to Facebook and Twitter. So, issue number 1. Social media backlash because Biden's transition teams, that means people who he hired when and if, let's just call it an if, he happens to win, which I don't think he will, but if he does, if he happens to win, his transition team has people who work or have worked for Facebook, Twitter. Facebook, Twitter have taken down things that support Donald Trump or his campaign. That being said, let's look at this. So it says Biden campaign is facing renewed criticism over its deep connection with big tech. Here's the issue. Big tech was always a problem. Back when I aligned myself a little more with the left, again, I've never been a moral liberal, always a moral conservative. But in terms of other things, I was so against the Iraq war. I was so against so many things, and I wasn't a big fan of W. And so because I felt we were being lied to at the time, that's my thing. I'm consistent on that. I don't like being lied to. Biden here, and that's the issue. Big connections to big tech. Big tech was always, and not to the sense of now. We didn't have Facebook, Twitter, and all these things back then, but it was always considered, where the media was against the left. That was the perception. Fox News was evil. All these things were evil. Everything is against us. And what's his name? George Bush is the devil, so on and so forth. And big tech was an enemy. What we would consider big tech then. And everything was, grassroots. Now it's on the opposite. And that's what I had noticed over time. Everything flips. Just watch. When this flips again, keep an eye out because everything that's being said about the right is going to be said about the left and vice versa whenever it's the opposite. Keep an eye out for that. We're being manipulated, guys. Really interesting here. So after both Twitter and Facebook censored a story from the New York Post detailing allegedly corrupt business deals with Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, says the move prompted fresh criticism on social media over the Biden transition team's hiring of top Facebook executive Jessica Hertz, which reportedly came days after the 2020 Democrats campaign penned a letter to social media giant urging them to censor President Trump's posts. What business does the opponent have telling a social media giant, social media, to censor somebody? If that's not fraudulent, I don't know what is. It's like if you can't sell yourself well enough that you have to block your opponent, that's like to me that's equivalent of putting something in your gloves and you go box. And that's who Joe Biden is so far for me. He's a liar, dude. He is a straight up liar. I mean, when you look back and he lied about, who he was, about his academics, he plagiarized other people's speeches. He lied about all these things. He came out and said he did stupid things and do dumb things again. He came out with some racist things that he said all this time. Then he comes out saying no. He's now saying that his dad pretty much told him that it was, I forget the exact words, I'm going to paraphrase, when he saw two males together and doing their thing, that his dad said, something, it was a beautiful thing. That's how things were back in 90. Okay, again, I'm thinking, Joe, you're like maybe 8 years old. Your dad's talking to you. You're already 78. So let's put you back at 1950. You seriously tell me your dad at the time told you that, when your mouth said things that were so different, when you came out against gay marriage, and now you flipped on us on that, and now you're flipping on this, and now you're saying your dad said all this? Dude, it doesn't match. You're lying to us. Don't lie. That's what gets to me. That's what I can't get behind. At least Trump's not Trump is totally, and I didn't vote for Trump the last time. I can't say I'm totally with Trump in terms of who he is as a person, but when you see Trump, you know what you're getting. You know exactly what you're getting, whether you like it or not. You know what's coming to you. With Joe Biden, he tells you one thing, does another. He intentionally lies, and depending on who he's talking to, it changes every time. I can't handle that. That drives me insane. Okay, so let's preface this, what's coming up here. So for the past few days, there's been a huge uproar about Hunter Biden. And Hunter Biden, what's going on with him? There was covered this last time. So a laptop that was recovered, it was sent to him for service. The service people, he actually never picked it up. The service people ended up taking it and turned it in. Somehow ended up in Giuliani's lap and ended up in, with the White House. And now we have all this information on Joe Biden and how he was involved with, Ukraine and Russia and this and that. And how he was paid, I think China as well. He was paid millions and millions of dollars. And these millions and millions of dollars were given to him, paid to him, and it was to enrich himself. Pop, who sounds like it's Joe Biden, who took half his salary according to all these things, and it enriched the family, and so on and so forth. And Hunter Biden, he has a record, and there's evidence, there's pictures. You've probably seen them. If you haven't, they're out there. Guy's on crack. There's a crack pipe, and he's in bed. There's photos out there. There's evidence of all this stuff. And the issue, let's get to the issue. So the issue is that because of all this, and how we found out about it was that the New York Post happened to get a hold of this information. And this information was put out. New York Post published it. It's out. Twitter bans it. Facebook bans it. They take down New York Post, take down Donald Trump, take down anybody who's talking about this story, censoring it, blocking it, banning it, censorship. I am not a fan of censorship in all areas. I am a fan of censorship in terms that are not appropriate, right? Things that my child should not see or hear, I have no problem. Censor it. That's fine. As an adult, well, there is no inappropriate stuff. Let's just call it that, because there's many things that are inappropriate. But things like this, where it's information that the people deserve to know. And yes, perhaps it hasn't been fully disclosed, fully looked into, and perhaps it's not fully been determined whether it's fact or not. But there's evidence of this. There's great evidence of this. And let's dig into it. And so this goes back to Twitter locks official Trump campaign account over sharing Hunter Biden video. And that's what happened. We talked about the Hunter Biden video. It was blocked. This is from a few days ago. And I mean, it's just crazy what's happening right now. And this carries on to something else. And again, this is why I can't stand behind Biden at this point. And again, being more of an independent, I'm always trying to be open to who is truly coming in the interest of the people. And so here I see ABC News town hall participants, Democratic ties hidden, critics say. They had 2 people come on out of the 8 people who came to this town hall. 2 of them have ties to the Obama Biden team. That's ridiculous. What is this? And so when we come down here, so when we look at this, one of the questionnaires at the ABC hosted event was Nathan Osborne, a former speechwriter for the Obama White House. A former speech. Okay. And when I saw this and I saw these handful of people out in the audience, first thing that I thought, how and where did you find these people? Right? So typically we have a group that comes and it's a town hall. And even then I question, how did you find these people? But when we have literally a handful and these people just show up and they're asking these questions and we don't know where they come from, when we start finding things out like this, there's trickery going on here. We're being lied to. These aren't real questions. These people know this guy. So he even knows, he was able to cook up the story about his dad because he's being asked these questions. Guys, you're falling for this. Don't. This is ridiculous. This is sad. This is so sad. The other guy, another questionnaire at the town hall was Micah Hack, who ABC presented as a physical therapist from State College, Pennsylvania. She is also the wife of Ezra Naines, a high-profile Democrat in Pennsylvania who in 2018 ran a campaign challenging Republican State Senate Majority Leader Jake Corman. These high-ranking people in the Democratic Party are associated with them. They know him. This is not good. This is enough for me to say I don't want anything to do with you. If you for 4 years, where I can't trust you for a few months just to tell me the truth, what are you going to do in 4 years? You're not going to do what benefits the people. You're going to go, like we've been seeing, go to China and sell us out. This isn't cool. You're going to enrich yourself, which is what you've done. This is not cool. We're being lied to majorly. And I am not for that. Moving on. So what do we do with all this, guys? What do we do? We need to really think about this. Really consider it when we're out here. Because we got to deal with this for 4 years. And really look at what the last 4 years, not what the hype is, not what anything else is. We really need to look at what is going to happen and what we're being told. I don't trust what I'm seeing right now, and it's just kind of sad. Anyway, that's what we got for today. That's what I got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed it. Lots of good information. Lots of information for you to take in, think about, process, and really think about what's coming up. There's only so many weeks left, so many days left, and it's so crucial that we look at the whole picture and not be deceived, not be fooled. Again, no agendas, no direction. Just give me truth. I don't care what it is. You know, if help me with that. You know, if it hurts, doesn't matter. Just give me the truth. Give me the truth. Anyway, so that's what we got for you guys. Thanks for stopping by. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell, come back, ask questions, comments, so on and so forth. Check out our channel because it's putting together right now. It's coming, and it's again, one mediator cross analysis. Check it out. Remember, that particular channel is going to look at all the stuff that we look at here, but through a biblical lens. So if you want to see that, if you like seeing that, if it calls to you, please check it out, and we'll talk to you guys later. See ya.